Hello Year 9. So last tutorial we looked at setting up a new document and inserting our map into the right size document and kind of changing the size of the map to make it fit what we're working with. So this lesson we're going to actually start creating our map artwork. But there's a couple of things we need to do before we start that. So we're going to open a new folder. So to do that, I just pressed Commando, or as you remember, you can also get there by going to File and Open. So I'm going to open my scanned Paintworks. And then it's a bit of a tedious process, but one at a time, we're going to open them. And using the marquee tool that we used to select the map in the first tutorial, we're going to use the marquee tool again, select the entire paintwork that we've scanned in. And we're going to save these as patterns so we can work with them on Photoshop without having to cut out bits to fit the map. So it's just an easier, more streamlined process of inserting a pattern into a pre-selected shape. So once we've selected the entire work with the marquee tool, we're going to click Edit on the top toolbar up here. We're going to select the Define Pattern option. And we're just going to leave it as the name that's down there. So if I press OK, that is now saved. So we can now start using this work which we've created with Paint as a digital pattern on Photoshop. So once you've done that, you can close the tab of the work you've just selected as a pattern, and we're just going to have to go through and do each one individually. So using the marquee tool, select the entire thing, Edit, Define Pattern, and just click OK. And it's that easy. So look, it's, maybe I was exaggerating before. It's not that tedious a process. So Edit, Define Pattern after we've selected it with the marquee tool. And look, that's not too bad at all. So we're going to have to do that with all of the patterns that all of the paintworks that we've done. So I've already done that, so I'm not going to go through it and do each one as part of the tutorial because that will just take up time. The next thing we're going to be using is the pen tool. So to get to the pen tool, we can press P, which is a shortcut, or we can just go along the toolbar and select this tool here. So you want to make sure it's just selected on the pen tool because as we can see, there's a range of different options. So to get to those options, we just hold down our left clicker on the tool and we'll get those options there. But we just want the normal pen tool here. So essentially what we need to do now is select the areas which are blocks on the map. And you can obviously make your map more zoomed out so you get more blocks, which translates to more tiles of color. But just for an example, I've chosen quite large, easy blocks here. So we might want to zoom in, and to zoom in we press Command+. And then this way we've got a much larger, or a much more zoomed in view of the areas we're working with. So with our pen tool, we want to start on the corner, click, we want to click onto the next corner, and we're essentially just tracing around the outside of those shapes. And there's smaller curved areas. You're going to want to make shapes, points with the pen tool that are much closer together than if it's large straight lines. So once we've done that, we're going to click back on the first point to seal the area we've done. And we're going to right click in the middle and hit the Make Selection option. And we're just going to click OK. And as you can see, that is now a selected area Same as if we use the marquee tool, but it's a more customizable kind of shape that we get with the pen tool. So now it's time to insert one of the patterns that we've created with paint. So to do that, we're going to go to Layer on the top toolbar up here. We're going to say New Fill Layer and Pattern. And we can just, pattern 1, we'll just leave whatever name is here. And we'll just click OK. So what it's going to do is it's automatically going to fill it with the last pattern that I've defined. So to get to the list of patterns that we can choose from here, we will click on this button here. And maybe I want to use that one instead. So there's a couple of things we can do here. We can move the pattern, so the different part of the work that we actually want to include is on there. So that looks pretty nice. The other thing we can do is change the scale. So we can make it much larger or much smaller. So, I think it looked better as a full-size image. No, actually it looks quite nice. So once we're happy with that, we're going to select OK. And as you can see, that's come up as a layer on the side here. So by the end of this, as you can imagine, you're going to have quite a few layers there. So if we zoom out, that area is now filled with the pattern that we've selected. And it's just a matter now of doing that throughout the rest of the image. And I will do that quickly for you now. Alright guys, so there is my completed map. I mean, obviously it's going to take you a while longer, and I would prefer if you actually used a more zoomed out map so you've got more areas to fill. But that's the basics of how we do it. So things to look out for when you're filling your map with patterns is contrast of colors. So as you can see, I've got blues next to oranges. I've got kind of red and green mixed in there, which also complements the blue and reds in this one. I've got some interesting contrast of patterns, so I've got lines, circles, and there is some repetition as well. So don't be afraid, like it doesn't have to be different everywhere. You can have some parts that might be a continuation of the same pattern, and that can also give it an interesting look as well. So this is where you use your range of paintings, I guess, to choose the composition of this based on your understanding of the elements and principles of art. So things like repetition, color, contrast, shape, line, movement, and yeah, basically put all those to use in this composition. Okay, so next tutorial, I'm going to be talking to you about saving your image and making a final touch to this before we finish it off. Okay?